Hello everybody, and welcome to part 2 of our epic podcast on the reptilians that goes right down to the Illuminati, Bohemian Grove, Satanism, and the state of the world as we know it. So this is a multi-part episode. This is part 2 of 3, and we decided that we would do it this way, not just because of how long it was, but we know that the average duration on our videos is like a half an hour, and you know what? It makes sense. Today we don't have a lot of time. Everything's about bite-sized entertainment, so that's what we're trying to give you folks. And before we jump into the episode, of course, I'm your host, Will Pender. Ryan Sharp, my co-host, is here with me. And an important little thing here that I have to splice in is that I have just released an album. Never thought it would be possible. Just worked my ass off on it since Christmas, before the birth of my new son. Just take the 30 seconds to watch it, and I want to give you guys some free stuff. All you have to do is go on to my Facebook page, Will Pender Rocks, and like and share the post titled Will Pender Bad Wiring. I'll send you a free track, ringtone, wallpaper. Just check it out. I hope you guys dig it.
Think you know me, you can be me. Walking dead and came back to life. Then I built my wings and I began to fly. You think I'm a misfit, narcissistic, 'cause I know my worth and show it with pride.
Guys, I hope you dug that, and I want you to spread it like the plague. Like it, share it. I just want as many people as I can to hear it and enjoy it. And of course, if you do so, you can not only get the free stuff, but I'm giving away free copies of the whole album as well at random. And you can also buy it at willpender.net, and it will be on iTunes and all the regular online music stores by the end of next week. And with that said, let us jump back into the topic of the reptilians.
Yeah, they started out by doing the work themselves, and at some point there was a revolt amongst the Anunnaki, and they said, fuck this, we're not digging holes in the ground anymore, and you're going to have to find another way to do this. And then Enki devised a way of doing it by performing a bunch of experiments on the most advanced creature at the time, which, you know, is debatable. What was it? Gigantopithecus, Homo erectus, whatever. It was some
Basically
early
did
hominid.
a lot of stuff with DNA.
Yes,
right?
yes. And the result of that being the creation of the human race.
Exactly. And so...
And to drive that point home, there have been... You just look at the human fascination with gold throughout the history of mankind. You know, I won't go into this too deep, but if you're really interested, just start Googling about, you know, why we're so interested in gold and why gold has been so important to us. There's been reports of possible gold mines in Africa dating back 100 to 200,000 years, and some claims go back even further. Now, the most outrageous, well, not outrageous, but, you know, the furthest out estimates of the appearance of the first modern human beings, Homo sapiens sapien, that's us, happened, they say, the furthest back they push it is around 200,000 years. So if they're finding gold mines that are older than that, then that's really saying something.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, where we can get with just this line of thought right here. I mean, so Zachariah Sitchin, you know, he basically finds out that these Anunnaki come here, and they basically, the reason why they do that to us, they splice our DNA, is that we were too stupid to work for them. They couldn't enslave us and make us do work because we were too stupid. So they had to tool us to do that. And then they set us off to create these great cities and stuff like that. And
the idea was that they attempted to hybrid us with a whole plethora of other creatures on this planet. And by us, I mean early hominids. So before we were humans, our stupid, meandering ancestors got spliced a bunch of times with all kinds of different creatures. And this is the reason why we have all these stories of centaurs, minotaurs, mermaids, birdmen, what have you. That's one
right.
of the theories.
There's apparently like 4 different groups right now. I mean, you got the Mothmen, you got the Draconians, which, by the way, is supposedly Luciferian. Like Lucifer is supposed to be a Draconian, and you have.
Well, he's referred to as the dragon in the Bible, is he not?
Yeah, the dragon, and then you got the Greys. So like.
So eventually they settled on the last thing they tried was mixing our early ancestors' DNA with theirs to create us.
Yes.
Which is why we're so fucking dysfunctional.
And so, like, that's basically what we were, was tunnel diggers, right? And, this even branches off again. I'm not going to really get into this, but in theistic Satanism, Enkai was Lucifer, the shining one, and he was Satan. He was the fallen angel, and he was the one that came and gave us, the information. In the Bible, the symbolic nature of eating that apple and getting all information. That is apparently what it was symbolic of, was Enki coming here and giving us knowledge we were never meant to have, but they enslaved us, right? And so, I mean, that's a whole different kit and caboodle, right?
Yeah. Oh, strap in, folks, for the divergences and off-track conversations for tonight.
Yeah, this is first time we actually sat down together, and so I think we got a lot of stuff going a lot of different ways. But I guess to get back to your initial question, like, why there is, I guess, why people on the TV and stuff like that would have these moments where their eyes are flickering. You can see the cat eyes, you can see the morphing, and they can't hold the image.
They seem to be spazzing out a little bit.
Right, and the way that is said to be is that, like the hierarchy that we were talking about, there's there's this bloodline, right? I mean, the grand idea is that there's going to be this new world order, right? And basically there's going to be one person that rules them all. So even though they're all, in these different groups and they're all working together, somebody is supposed to be the Antichrist that's going to come and they're going to rule them all. And the thing that I should mention right up front right now is that on the topic of the reptilians, just like people, there's good and bad, right?
Yes.
So in the reptilian way, there's the Luciferian, what's the word? It's the Luciferian druid, or hanging out. I'm thinking like RPGs here. But anyway, there's like the Luciferian way, right? And that's the evil. It's almost like Sith, right? It's like, if I can take your shit and kill you, then you deserve it because I'm better than you.
Might makes right.
Might makes right. And then there's these, apparently it's a race that's been kind of brainwashed anyway, and kind of into this idea. But there are people in the world right now waking up to the illusions that we see on TV and the brainwashing in the media. There are apparently reptilians that do that too. They're the same ones that are in UFOs above nuclear silos that stop them from going. I've even heard reports of reptilians that have shown up in strange ships alongside fighters on Dulce and have actually protected the people flying the ships. So they're not all bad, right? But what we have going on, we got different races of reptilians. We have
and not just races, but different factions within each caste.
Right,
and different castes who have you would imagine. I mean, look at the way that we're set up. I mean, if this is a reality that we're dealing with, and I mean, I won't lie, there certainly does seem to be a very strong correlation between human beings and our existence and this whole hidden reality of the reptilian. If this is the reality of the world that we're living in, then the fact that we're so much like them, if they've been around behind the scenes for so long, shouldn't come as a surprise. So when we look at situations like, I know you just briefly mentioned Dulcie. I'm sure it's something we'll go into a little deeper in a little bit. But when we look into any of these situations, I would imagine personally that not only are they're different, just like amongst human beings, right? We have Caucasians and we have Africans and we have Asians. And then outside of that, the reptilians might have their own kind of slightly differentiated morphology within their own race. And then within that, there may be all these different ideologies, on top of the fact that what pops up time and time again, that amongst the reptilians, that there's an entire caste system. So even amongst the caste system, there may be different ideologies and factions within those caste systems. There's no reason to think that their society is any less complicated than our own. I mean, just look at how messed up the world is, right? That's because no two people can agree on anything. And, we tend to try and find like-minded individuals, and we form groups around ideological centers. And I think the same could be said in terms for any advanced social species. I think that a lot of the confusion that comes from this topic may in fact come from that. Imagine chimpanzees become conscious tomorrow, and their anthropologists have the arduous task of trying to map out human interactions and what it means to be human and what the right human belief is, right? It'd be impossible. And that's what we're trying to do.
We are, and like the thing about the reptilians, I mean, if you look at it, and you're gonna, I mean, no matter how you look at it, is either they were here first, or they came down here and we weren't as advanced as them. I mean, every different angle of the story says that they were technologically advanced and they taught us, right? I mean, every angle says that they were the superior being, and they probably feel that way. They probably feel like we were in the wrong place, like we went to their land, like we're the intruders, right? But they probably also realize that because they're superior, it's easier to manipulate and to get us to do the work that they want done, right? So I mean, if we're going to look at the whole idea of like enslaving the human race and like what their ultimate goal, because that's what it is apparently to enslave the human race, and that the earth belongs to them. And the word is that they've been controlling the human race since ancient times, right?
Now,
and I mean,
do you make any connection between Draconians and Saurians?
Saurians I haven't heard of.
So the idea with the Saurians is that Saurians are basically, they're crypto-terrestrials. That meaning that they've been on Earth for the last 600 million years, since the end of the dinosaurs. That during the dinosaur age, that an advanced bipedal intelligent race of beings evolved, and any evidence of their civilization has long been wiped away. And some schools of thought think this is where the reptilians came from, that they're not actually extraterrestrials, they're crypto-terrestrials, and that during times of great upheaval, they went deep underground and then eventually remained there.
Okay, well, I did hear of the reptilians living underground. Just I didn't hear the name saurians. They just
descendant of dinosaurs, that they're from Earth. They're Earthlings as much as we're Earthlings, except they've been here for millions of years.
Underground
for the most part.
Yeah, well, I have heard that said, just not the term saurian, but just reptilian as a general blanket term.
Because there's another school of thought that the saurians were actually completely separate from the draconians. That the saurians developed and evolved on this planet. Some left, some went underground, the rest died, and then later when the draconians showed up, that they kind of incorporated whatever was left here of the saurian people into their caste.
Well, that very well could be. Now, like, I mean, I'm not sure what their role would be in the hierarchy, but I do know that, like, I mean, just let's just shift this a little bit into, like, when we're talking about enslaving humanity, and, like, once we get to this elitism, we have to start bringing up who these elites are.
Sure.
And, like, for that, a lot of people refer to them as the Illuminati. Now, the Illuminati is not just reptilians, you know, it's humans, it's reptilians, is a secret group, right? But, like, the thing that I guess binds them is a bloodline, right? It's this ancient bloodline. And
going right back to Samaria, if you believe some family trees.
Exactly. It goes right back to ancient Samaria, and apparently there's a lot of inbreeding between, like, say, royal families and stuff like that to keep the bloodline pure, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. And, like, so, for example...
Not only to keep it pure, but there is a whole kind of sub-anthropological study on what is believed to be in some pseudo-scientific circles, to be a whole subclass or other slightly different type of human being, one that's born with literally no empathy whatsoever. What us normals call a sociopath.
Oh man, it goes even further than that. Like, I mean, if you go in and I was listening to an interview with David Icke, and, you know, like, in Hollywood, in the political circles, like in Bohemian Grove, another thing we're going to get into, there's this whole circle of, like, pedophilia and like just vile,
not just pedophilia, but like ritualistic, satanic pedophilia, necrophilia. But a lot of the pedophilia seems to be connected to mind control as well.
That, for sure.
That
like
by utilizing that kind of early childhood sexual abuse, that you start splintering personalities, and if you splinter the personalities enough, then you can bury information deep into some of these really damaged personalities that can only be brought out under very specific conditions. And that'd be the MK Ultra program. Yeah,
and the other thing that they apparently like, and I've heard this mentioned in other occult rituals, like certain groups, the reason why they would target children is that for, you know, these reptilians, like, there is a certain kind of chemical
yes,
that is reduced with fear, or comes out with fear.
It's only produced in the flesh of a human being, and typically more large amounts of it in a young human child, when they're under extreme fear and pain.
Right, and it's nourishing to them, to their build.
Not only nourishing to them, but now I've heard certain circles regard it as the secret to unlocking psychic potential in human beings. So that not only is this a practice being done by reptilian, non-human creatures, but there are certain cults that have formed around this idea. The ones that I know of particularly happened in England, where the remains of these children, once they were discovered, were almost impossible to identify as even being human. By the time
it's absolutely disgusting.
Revolting in the extreme.
Like, especially for us humans to look at it. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. So, I mean, let's put a face to some of these names, right? I mean, we got George Bush is an alleged reptilian. Bill and Hillary Clinton. Queen Elizabeth. You have the royals. You have, the big, the big guys, the guys who, like, run the world already. You got the Rothschild and the... what's the other one?
The Rockefellers.
The Rockefellers, right? And I mean, they're at the head table of this stuff. They're the ones that pull the strings behind the curtain.
And you just go ahead. You just go ahead and pause this podcast for 2 seconds and Google a picture of David Rockefeller, and tell me he doesn't look like a subhuman fucking I don't know what. Like, the guy just has this air of menace and evilness about him. He looks like a predator.
He does. And if you're wondering, how these elitists, how do they rule the human race right now? Well, I mean, that ties into many other conspiracies as well. The
deepest of which, and this is my take on it, was that we were designed from the ground up to desire to be led.
Yeah, there you go, right? But I mean,
think of how many people that who do not want to take control of their own lives or make their own decisions. They'd much rather have somebody calling the shots for them.
Well, it's right in our culture, like everything about it. I mean, the idea that we're programmed from the top. This is done with political sway. It's done with laws. It's done with drugging of our food with pesticides and other chemicals, our water, all of which fall under, chemtrails and shit like that. I mean, that's a whole other conspiracy. And
the $1 trillion social engineering business that is usually referred to as marketing.
Well, that's the other big thing, is that all these people own the news. They own the TV. Like,
well, you look at it. There's 6-7 companies that own all the different news agencies in the world.
Right, and
one of them being Disney.
One thing, I mean, just to put this out there, I mean, it's not like people haven't stumbled across this before and tried to make a difference, right? And I'm going to give you a really good example of something like that right now. Everybody talks about John F. Kennedy and, like, the assassination and what caused that. Well, here's an example or an excerpt of one of his speeches that many people believe is actually connected to the Illuminati. And this is the excerpt. This is his words. "The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths and secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidations instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations." Right?
You will never hear this situation more succinctly explained than those words.
It's everything. It's everything. They own everything. We are like everything that we need, our resources, our news, it's completely infested and contaminated and shapes your life in a way that it is like you're locked into it.
We're completely reliant for food, shelter, work, medicine, everything. Everything, yet, your entertainment, everything is completely reliant on this huge mega structure that when you really get in and you really look deep, the people who are making your medicine, like what is it, Bayer's, right? They make all kinds. They're a huge pharmaceutical company, but they're also a huge agro company. So not only do they make the food that gives you a headache, but they make the drugs that take your headache away.
And they completely manipulate like the media, like the news you hear. I mean, I've even seen there's been lots of stuff lately where like these terrorist attacks happen, and people have been noticing that at different terrorist or like, you know, shootings or whatever, that they have these same families.
Oh, crisis actors.
Crisis actors, right? The same people in these videos acting freaked out, but they play a different role every time. And because the internet is so big, people are seeing that, hey, this thing that happened over in Iraq, and this is the same woman over here claiming to be this person's husband in the U.S. And
like
the same one.
What was it? SEAL Team 6 that was involved in taking down Osama bin Laden is reportedly, and I mean, I've seen the photographs and it seems pretty damning to me, that those same guys, SEAL Team 6, were members of the high school football team during the Columbine shooting.
Right. I mean, it's there. It's just, it seems so crazy that this could be a thing. It's like nobody wants to believe it. Nobody wants to look, but it's fucking there.
Hiding in plain sight.
It's hiding in plain sight. And like, it's not even hard to find. It's just that, you know, we've kind of been
taught. You got to know to look.
You got to know to look. Now, the only thing is, now the biggest mistake the government ever made was to put the internet out for the public, because they had us in a way before the internet. You were just lost. It was like the equivalent of the Matrix. You're just fed. You know, this is the world you see. This is all you know.
All you had was radio and TV, and there was no input by the common man.
And they owned it. Right? So you were going to see and think and hear what they told you. And even though that's a big part of today, because of the internet, you have all these groups that are waking up and pointing this out and pointing that out. And there's people waking up every day and, you know, seeing that there's more going on than they, you know, there's a secret world behind the world we live in.
So they've had to switch tactics over the last 15 years. And the result of that now being is that the best thing that they can do is just muddy the waters. And that's why whenever you're out there looking up anything on anything, you really need to pay attention and you really need to dig, go far and wide, because for every single piece of true information that you're going to find on the internet, you're going to find 10 bits of disinformation. And some of it is purposeful groups, and some of it is exactly.
They have hired groups, offices of people, and that's what all they do is they go and spread disinformation. Because if there's enough bullshit out there with enough of the real stuff, it's like nobody knows what to look at. And if there's things that are obvious bullshit that are somewhat similar to true stuff, you throw
it all out, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. And so, I mean, let's just like look at this bloodline, right? I mean, we got, it's a royal bloodline. And apparently, you know, there was a very thorough genealogy resource that ties all 44 U.S. presidents to this royal bloodline. Which, if true, by the way, means that the public voting we do, this free choice that we think we have, is just an illusion.
Oh, fuck. If voting made any difference whatsoever, they wouldn't let us do it.
Yeah, like, I mean, they know who they're putting in, you know, before it happens. And apparently the way that it works is determined by the, you know, the order of the percentage of the royal genes that somebody has. You know, and other big actors who are said to have these genes are Marilyn Monroe, Madonna, Tom Hanks, and others. I mean, this even ties back to Vlad the Impaler, right?
The bloodline. Now, I once upon a time, I haven't been able to find it in years, but maybe 11 years ago, I came across a family tree, bloodline family tree, that went right back to Roman times. And there were a few little bits of it that just dipped back into late dynastic Egypt.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because according to David Icke, the global elite follow an ancient religion, and the religion is actually secretly tied to the Catholic religion, right? Roman Catholic religion. And it's apparently similar to what we see in satanic cults, like where blood is involved, sacrifices, orgies, bizarre rituals, and chanting. And just to get an idea of what this religion really is, and I'm not saying the Catholic as we know it is like that, but you know, the stuff that these elitists practice, right? Go do a search on YouTube for Bohemian Grove, right? And there's footage apparently captured by Alex Jones, and I know what a lot of people's opinion is on him, but seriously, just take a look at the footage, right? I mean, Bohemian Grove is another huge conspiracy all on its own. And apparently what it is that it's this place where all the world's elite group up. They have orgies, they have sacrifices, they perform ancient rituals, and they all worship this giant owl that they call Moloch.
Moloch.
And I mean,
and Moloch, I believe, is a Babylonian deity.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? And I mean, you can watch the videos. I mean, there's been pictures of people high in politics there taking part in this, wearing weird garbs, and
it's not just politics. It's like leaders of industry, the head of Kodak, the head of Canon, the head of Hewlett Packard, the head of Ford. It's on top of the elites and the the political elites, and now the one thing I'm not sure of, I don't think there's ever been a celebrity filmed at a Bohemian Grove event, has there? Not to my knowledge.
I'm not sure, but the thing,
like a media celebrity, rock star or fucking actor or whatever.
Well, they could very well be, if we're going to hierarchy, they could be beneath that. But I mean, truthfully,
they're just the clowns of the bloodline, right?
Yeah,
Go
I mean,
out there and entertain the populace,
keep them distracted.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? If we're just dirt beneath their boots. The people that we look up to is basically, I mean, let's face it, in North America, the top actors and actresses and performers are North American royalty, right? We don't have dukes and duchesses and kings and queens in North America, but we look up to these celebrities as these semi-divine beings. People cry and shit themselves when they meet them in person, right? And the really, you really pull your perspective back. If this is the hierarchy or the way that things are set up, then they literally would be at the bottom, because they're just there. They're just the guy that was hired to dangle keys in front of the human race and shake them. Hey, look over here.
Basically, they're the guys like, hey, come distract people. We'll pay you a shit ton of money. We'll have people write your music. They'll do your advertising. They'll do your... You'll have a life of awesomeness, right? You'll have this awesome, easy life, and we'll do it for you. We just need a front man to go and, like you said, dangle the keys, right?
We just need someone without scales to
they go shake the shiny eyes thing, right? And meanwhile, within the music, the people writing it, of course, aren't, you find that funny, right? Most of these artists, they're not the ones writing it. There's someone behind there, and there's always like these little things that they're pushing in there that could serve the agenda of,
a lot of messianic symbols.
Yeah, that's something that you'll see a lot of times.
That guy, fucking Jay-Z.
Yeah, well, and Beyonce, all of them. Like, if you go and Google, I mean, that's a conspiracy.
Well, they're married, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. And if you Google this whole thing, you'll see that there's all these symbols being made. And remember how I said that there's supposedly Luciferian, you know, the reptilians and stuff like that, then it would make sense that the people who are working on that angle of it are flashing these satanic symbols. Of course they are. That's the side they're on. You know, that's part of their hierarchy. That's the group they serve.